guys, welcome back to my channel. This is episode 5 of Consumer Case Study, where I'll be doing a deep dive on consumer apps and why they work. As a premium user and listener of this app, today we'll be doing a deep dive on Spotify. So let's begin. Picture the early 2000s. The music industry is falling apart because nobody wants to pay for music anymore. You have a whole generation that wants to listen, but now knows you don't need to buy a physical album. You can just pirate it for free. So in 2006, Daniel Ek and Martin Lawrenson started Spotify in Stockholm. And it's funny because Ek used to run a music piracy tool, but besides that, he had just sold an ad company and Lawrenson had co-founded a marketing firm. Both of them bet that convenience would win over privacy. If streaming any song instantly was easier than hunting a sketchy download and you could pay the artist, people would come and eventually some of them would pay. But Spotify didn't have any music. They had to convince the record labels, the same labels getting torched by piracy, terrified of handing their catalog over to some free Swedish app. This licensing problem took years to solve, and it's why Spotify launched in Europe in 2008 but didn't reach the US until 2011. Ultimately, Spotify beat piracy by making it pointless, but anyone with money and lawyers can replicate a giant music catalog. So what makes Spotify itself work? Spotify's whole business model is theoretically impossible because every other streaming service has the same music licensed from the same exact labels. So Spotify made its differentiator not the music, but how well their product knows you. In 2015, Spotify launched a playlist called Discover Weekly. Every Monday, it picks 30 songs you'd never heard based on 3 things. And if you're a tech person, this is an example of K nearest neighbors. Number 1, it looks at people that listen like you. If you and I overlap on a bunch of artists and you love a song that I've never heard, that song is a candidate for me. 2, it actually listens to the music itself. It will break down the sound, the tempo, the energy, the mood, so that it can match a brand new song to stuff that you already like. And 3, it watches what you do. All of this happens in the background constantly while you're using the app. The longer that you use the app, the better it's going to tailor to you, and you can't export this, like what Spotify has learned about your taste. This is an extremely clever retention feature that Spotify has continued to build on with playlists and an AI DJ, but Spotify competed on knowing you better, and that turns out to be the thing that no one else can copy. Every single one of you who watches this video will know what Spotify is. So how did it get this big, and how does everyone and their mom have Spotify Premium? 2 words: free tier. You get access to all of these amazing songs, but you have to put up with incessant ads, limited skips, inability to join your friends' jams, and on and on. This funnel is built to loop you into the platform and nudge you to pay for premium. Once a year, Spotify also runs what I think is the best and most influential marketing campaign in tech. It's called Spotify Wrapped. Have you heard of it? It takes the data it already has on you and hands it back as a year in review that you can't help but share with your friends and followers online. Last year's alone got over 300 million people engaged and 630 million shared. And what's crazy is that Spotify is paying not a single cent for this marketing campaign. Now in 2026, Spotify has 300 million paying subscribers and 777 million total monthly active users. Besides the Spotify algorithm we talked about, there's also a social layer to this as well. For example, Blend can turn you and your friends' taste into one shared playlist. Jam lets a whole group add to the same queue in real time. Friend Activity shows you what the people you follow are playing. And in 2025, they added actual messaging inside the app. None of this is about discovery. It's about forming and keeping relationships. Adding onto that, there's also a layer that takes the music offline. Spotify knows exactly who your favorite artists are, so it shows you their concerts and sends you pre-sale codes and merch before anyone else. In 2026, actually, it launched Reserve, where it holds 2 tickets for an artist's biggest fans before they go on sale to everyone else. This is actually how I got my Biba Doopy tickets for later this year, so thanks Spotify. Anyways, TLDR, you sign up for free, the algorithm keeps you listening and potentially paying. The social stuff ties you to other people, the live stuff converts you to an IRL fan. Every step of this makes Spotify harder to walk away from. Tried and true business model, but 90% of Spotify's revenue is just subscriptions. People pay every month on varying levels depending on their plan. For me, I pay about $4 a month since I'm on a family plan with my friends. The actual ad money from the free tier is just a tiny slice. For almost 20 years though, the business has been brutal because Spotify does not own the rights to the music on its platform. For every dollar that comes in, roughly 70 cents goes out back to labels, publishers, artists, and the pricing is interesting because it's not a pay per stream kind of thing. Spotify will take all of its revenue and split it by how big of a share of total streams that an artist gets. In 2025, this pot was about $11 billion across nearly 3 trillion streams. For years, they had massive revenue, but basically no profit because they had to pay their artists. But three things changed this. They raised premium prices, they got leaner, and they pushed into podcasts and audiobooks. These don't run on that same 70% deal, so every hour you spend on those instead of music is better for Spotify's profit margin. And this worked. In 2024, Spotify turned its first ever operating profit. Spotify has told investors it wants to hit $100 billion in revenue by 2030, and you can get there by finding more people to subscribe. But what we've been seeing more of in tech at large is you get there by having the people you already have pay for more. Audiobooks, higher tiers, add-ons stacked on in the subscription. Spotify spent 20 years proving it could get the whole world to listen to them, but the next 20 for them is about getting its listeners to pay for more than just the music. Number one weakness. Most artists are not getting paid enough. As of 2024, a song has to hit 1,000 streams in a year to earn anything at all. And artists now have to pay out of their own royalties for discovery mode to get pushed by the algorithm. The company that promised to pay artists is now charging them to just get heard, and I think that's a tension that people have been complaining about for a very long time. Weakness number two. There's a lot of fraud and AI slop on the platform now. People have been using AI to generate songs and upload them under real artists' names, including dead ones. There's also reporting that Spotify commissions cheap, no-name background tracks and quietly slots them into big mood playlists, so like sleep, focus, chill, because those tracks cost it less in royalties. Spotify denies that it's trying to replace real artists, but it did indeed pull off 75 million spam tracks off the platform in a single year. Weakness number three, the app has very clumsy basics. Spotify keeps redesigning it from what I've seen. The queue, where the repeat button went, how your library is organized. And the deeper complaint underneath it is Spotify feels like it's designed to keep you scrolling and not to just let you find your music and play it, which I think is a strange problem for an app that knows your taste this well and should just let you play your music. Feature number one, build a superfan subscription tier. Early access, exclusive drops, pre-sale tickets. Within this supreme superfan tier, Spotify could also route a real cut of the money that you pay to the actual artist. And this would both increase revenue for the company and also soften the artist pay problem at the same time. Feature number two, go bigger on talking to Spotify. There was a ChatGPT tie-in, and I actually didn't know that there's a talk to Spotify feature, but I feel like a lot of it is still obscured to regular users. I think it'd be really cool if you could just say what you want, like something for a long drive, nothing I've heard this week, and the AI assistant just kind of builds it right there. Again, similar to all of the actions you take on the platform, every one of these conversations can help feed the recommendation engine that we talked about and greatly increases the retention rates. Feature number three, fix the basics. Yes, let's race with every other company to build more AI, but the highest ROI move might be to just nail the library, the queue, the sorting, all the stuff that people have begged for. Spotify actually started in 2026. You can now add playlist folders and better queue controls on mobile, which you've been able to do on desktop, but I'm really glad they implemented that. I would continue and just make the app not annoying to use on mobile and on desktop. Ultimately, Spotify did not invent the playlist, nor did it invent streaming services, but it turned a catalog that everyone has access to into a product that feels like it's only yours. And that's all today on Consumer Case Study. Let me know in the comments what you thought and what other consumer apps you'd like to see on here, but I'll see you in episode 6.